Yeah,
Yeah, but how brilliant is Val Nasedkin?
I
And
know.
is it wasn't Omega Wave developed for like the for astronauts and for space exploration? Is that correct?
Yep, yep. So space and sports, um, and they have some really good studies. One of them on uh, seamen that were at sea. So they were testing them while they were out on the ocean, and then pregnant women who were going through their all their trimesters. Because I mean, those two things are like the biggest. Well, those are two great stress responses to see how people are responding. And I'll see if I can find those and send them to you. Um, so yeah, it's that's why, man, the complexity of it. That's why when people say, I'm going to run these 4 sprints, it's going to make me faster. It's like, man, there's just more to the human than just
Hmm.
doing this stuff. Because I remember Hank Krahenhoff started training Mary Pierce. She was a great tennis player. I think she got high ranked as like number 3 or 4 in the world. And so I think she came to Hank. And if I'm getting the story wrong, I apologize. But I think so. Hank wanted to expose her to different stress. So I think he had her working with the Dutch Special Forces. He had her doing zip line stuff. And he had an OmegaWave at the time. And so, I think he was just trying to put a different stressor on her to have, a different response, that would maybe move her to a positive light. And I think if I'm correct, I think it worked quite well for them, some of the training methods he used with her.
Dude, this is
Yep.
the whole Omega Wave thing. What's so? Do you know anything about their current products now? Do you use them?
I don't right now I use HRV for training.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and
How come?
That's a really good one too.
Yeah, it's like $10.
Uh, yeah. So it's validated extremely well. Um, God, I forget the guy's name. Marco does a really good job on the research side and validating it. And so it's $10 for a lifetime subscription.
Yeah, I have
You,
it.
yeah. You can use a polar heart strap or you can just use your fingertip. And the coach interface is like $70 a year for like 5 athletes. And so I have special forces guys that I work with kind of all over the country here. And so that's the one that I use with them. Because it's easy, it takes a minute and it's really good. Again, nothing against Omega Wave, but $10 compared to 200. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me and sorry if we're going to spend this whole time like discussing HRV and all this shit. It's there's no I mean you're like one of the OGs with this shit, so it's like such a good opportunity to be able to BS with you about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
it's all good.
so have you used the Aura ring ever?
Have not used the Aura Ring, but I know some people that have, and they absolutely love it.
Dude, I love it. I've been
Do
using it. I name
okay.
dropped the shit out of my pro clientele, and I got in touch with their former CEO, and he and I we had him on the podcast, and he and I
Oh,
became
nice.
yeah we became buddies. And I mean I wear it nonstop with everything, and bro, my HRV on that. Now I've read I talked to a couple of people too that said that they do HRV wrong. But I mean, bro, if you you got to see my HRV on this sucker. It is you'll vomit. I mean, it's terrible. It is. I've shown my HRV score to like multiple people, and they're like, "Dude, you're gonna die." Like it's like hold on, my readiness last night. My average HRV was 26, and that was a good night. The night before, 31, 25, 24, 23. 28. Like it's not unusual for me to be below 20. And I see that with a lot of guys. Now, bro, I ain't overtrained. Like I'm like a slob. You know what I mean? I'm far from overtrained. I barely do anything. You know what I mean? Like especially compared to what I used to be. I get so confused by so much of what's good with HRV, what's bad with HRV. And here's an actually really interesting point regarding the HRV. We detected that my father had sleep apnea specifically through the Aura ring before they did the breath stuff. We were able to
Mm-hmm.
tell because he has a pacemaker. So, I mean, it should just be the same thing all the time. And whenever there was a deviation, whenever he had a good HRV score where it was in the hundreds, it's because he was holding his fucking breath. It's
Right.
because it wasn't beating. That's what the HRV was doing. It was measuring a heart that wasn't beating. So it made me think like, how good is the HRV? How important is the HRV? And what's more important, the HRV or was it the resting heart rate? Because I know with the Aura, the HRV's ascent almost seems to be more of a reflection of heart rate than anything else. So if you have a slower heart rate, your HRV is going to be better. So just focus on worrying about your heart rate score rather than worrying about the heart rate variability. At least with these measurables. What are your thoughts on all that I just threw at you?
Yeah. So, the resting heart rate, I mean, it's just one, you know, data point. And, you can have a low resting heart rate, but be totally cooked, right? Like you can be like super parasympathetic and your heart is just like, it's just overly tired.
Mhm.
And, you see that with like endurance athletes who have a hard time, raising their heart rate for like, an interval session, where it's just super hard and they can't get their heart rate up. So, I mean, that's, you know, could potentially be a sign of overtraining, or just, you just need more rest. So, heart rate in and of itself, because I've seen, like, I trained quite a few triathletes who had low resting heart rates, but were sympathetic dominant. Um, Now, was that because of their training model? Was it because they were doing training plus they had a job? And they couldn't figure out why why their performances sucked. Um, so I think, heart rate is one thing you can look at, but then HRV over time is another one, like what are the trends of it? And, you know, like, you say you're, not as active as you used to be. Okay. I mean, let's say you upped your activity level on, say you just walked on the treadmill for like a half an hour a day, okay, now you start doing that over time. Like, okay, is there a positive change based off of your baseline? Say you started doing meditation more, or saunas more. Like, how are these things affecting the reading? And to me, it's like, it's not good or bad. It just is right now what it is. And maybe here are some interventions to try to improve that. And the one thing that I learned with OmegaWave and even the HRV, it's not the end all be all. It may just allow me to ask deeper questions of the person who is using it to find out why maybe you're out of whack here.
Yeah, that's always my
And that's
concern
why,
with
like, I found with OmegaWave with like the athletes is you could have a really good cardiac score and a really good nervous system score, but neuromuscular system took the longest to recover. Um, and so, that's why, these hard sessions, like Charlie's, this, high low approach, I think in theory is good. But when you start actually testing certain athletes, based off of that model, it doesn't line up because like neuromuscularly, they just haven't recovered enough to go hard again.
Mhm.
Um, so, I take HRV, a lot of this stuff with it's just one part of the picture.
Do you think you've picked up the skill of, because you've done so many readings, that you're able to sort of pattern recognize just in people's gait, mood, movement, that you can see like when things like the cardiac system's fatigued, nervous? I mean, neuromuscular is, I, I kind of want to predict it's the easier one to see if it's fatigued, I guess, maybe, no?
Yeah. So, I mean, I pick stuff up from a, whether it be from an emotional standpoint or observation, physical. I am by no means like, Charlie, where he could listen to Ben's foot hit the ground and, know that, he just wasn't on that day. Like, that is not me. That's why I use a lot more, that's why I use the technology to, give me more insight, to the individual person, because I may look at them and think, they look great today. Because a lot of these athletes are going to lie to you. Like, everybody wants to train hard, right? So, uh, oh yeah, man, I feel great. Okay, you vert. Okay, you're like 8 inches under your PR. Okay, so you're not good today. So I will use OmegaWave or any HRV, but then I will also ask them questions. I will look how, see how they're moving. So like all of these different data points from a subjective and objective feedback are kind of allowing me to coach and make decisions from there. So I don't take what I see as, I know he's screwed today. I want to make sure I have more information.
Mhm.
But the same vice versa. If you got the
Yes.
objective measurement, are you still taking into consideration your subjective opinion too?
Yes. Yep. Yep. And that's one thing that I try to, have the athletes learn, throughout this 4 year period is there's going to be days when you're just not good. Like, we just cannot be great. Like, it's not this linear projection. So, understanding the peaks and valleys of it, not getting too overly concerned with really good days or really bad days. And if we manage things right, hopefully we don't have as many, off days as good days. Um, and part of that is understanding, the building a good training program.
So when Brooker trained for his Ironman,
Mm-hmm.
he had kind of a fuck it mentality where like I don't want to know any data, I don't want to know
Mm-hmm.
anything. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to get my fucking work done. Um,
Uh-huh.
and and same thing for his row. So I don't know if you know anything about him. He rowed a boat, row like old school from Monterey, California to Hawaii, and now he's going to do it from Africa to Antigua. Right? So fuck your HRV. You know what I mean? Like it's like completely different. What are your do you think this type of training and this type of mentality reduces your ability to withstand stress? Do you think it makes you more vulnerable?
Hmm. Oh, that's a great question.
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
I mean, I kind of, man, I mean, this is where the individuality, the human complexities of all this stuff kind of come into it. And I mean, as I think about this, and okay, so let's say Brooker hired me to as his coach, and he's telling me this, right? So he's telling me that, I don't want to look at HRV, I don't want to do data, all this. Um, and that's how he is. And so, is it my place as the person or coach that he's hired to say, no, like, you have to do this? Because maybe telling him that he has to do it is going to be the straw that, breaks his back on performance. Maybe for him, this is how he is wired. This is how he's going to do it. He's hired me to, plan his training, but he doesn't care if he gets 1 hour of sleep or, is on 48 hours up. That's how he's going to do it. And so, I'd be cautious on having him do it because maybe that's his ability to handle all this is not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's him as an individual. But the flip side of it, and I see this more often, is the person that is just so into the data. Like, oh my God, I was 8.7 yesterday and now I'm 8.6. What's going on? What's going on? And so, there's some athletes where I'm like, okay, we are not gonna test you, or I am gonna test you and I'm not gonna tell you, because your mind, like you just can't handle the ambiguity of this at all. Um, so, I mean, that's the way I, look at this. Like, it's like massage. Like, you know, Mike, you may like it. It may, help you. It may make you feel really relaxed, and you come back the next day and you're great. Brooker the same way, but myself, like, I may not like somebody having hands on me. And as a coach, you're like, hey man, you got to go get massage. Well, I don't like it. So, is going to make them like there's more stress involved with getting the massage than the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
Now, what do you and I mean from the mental side of things, like again, Brooker's event is just a fuck you. You know what I mean? Like the whole time, like he's on 2 hours, off 2 hours. And that happened
Right.
for 29 days. You know what I mean? And now it's gonna happen for 40 days. And it's just you and your boys, and that's it. Um, do you think have you ever seen other than the guys that are like number maniacs and out of their minds. Like I had a wide receiver who's built like a racehorse, and he was a pros pro, multiple records, absolute savage. And towards the end of his career, like he was in my facility, and he's telling me my glutes just not turning on. I'm telling you, it's not turning on. I was like, the fuck are we talking about? I was like,
Right.
I said, squeeze your ass cheeks. It's on. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's impossible for your glute to not be on. You know, but they get so obsessed, like, with this needs to be right, that needs to be right, this needs to be, and it's like, no, if the slightest thing is off, now they're fucked. Like, do you notice that constantly having this type of information is making them less resilient, is making them more worrisome?
Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with that. Because then they're just utterly focused on the number versus, doing the work that, got them there. And, again, man, there's certain times where you're, just the training in of itself, you're going to be tired from it, right? Like you're not going to be perfect, but you're still good enough to do the session, right? Like you're still at an optimal level to get out of that session what you need to. Um, and that's why I think, and you've seen it, Mike and Brooker, how our industry kind of goes in this, it's powerlifting and then it's, rehab focused. And so it kind of goes in these, waves. And, at the end of the day, like you have to, like, if you want to be resilient, like you have to get good, hard training in and then recover from it. And, I think some of these athletes, the reason they're broken is because they just don't train hard enough.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Like it's like, hey,
Like,
bro, it's early GPP. This is medium intensity. What are we talking about?
yeah, yeah. And so, and especially on team sports, when you see some of the volumes they accumulate during a practice week, and it may be wrong, right? Like a lot of these programs, like it's just wrong, but the athletes still have to go through it, right? And so you have to make them robust to survive
Mm-hmm.
a practice week so they can perform on game day. And you don't get that by doing band walks and 3 or 4 sprints, and a few jumps. Like you got to put the work in. um and that's going to build the durability. So I mean, that's why I tell our kids, like, no Motrin or anything for the next 8 months. Don't, if you're sore, just let it be. We're going to come in and we'll train, and we're just going to keep training. Like, don't use the thermo regulated boots or whatever. It's like, this, like you said, this is GPP. Like, we don't need that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fragility that is built into these athletes now. It's like, yeah, man, get the gun and the, cold plunge and all that. It's like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it a meta issue there though? Because then we're assuming that we need to be a certain way. We're also assuming that if I add this variable, then I'm going to get more of the outcome, which it is that I want, rather than, do you understand what I mean? It's like we try, like a lot of people, they're like, and I see it sometimes with my guys too. They're like, hey, if you can come and do this on me, then I know like I'm gonna like feel way better, and I need to feel this certain way, play well. But like the truth is like you can have your best game performance without any sleep. You might not have eaten anything but toast for 2 days
Yeah.
beforehand. Like it's always a possibility, right? But we so focused on trying to always have the predicted outcome which we so feel like we need, rather than sort of exploring the unknown in in the moment.
Yeah. And I mean, that's totally right. And you see it um, with recover. So I remember Randy was on your program, and, he talked about the recovery with Sue, I think, with like, the pool sessions and all the stuff that they did with him. And there was a real reason behind it. And at that level and what they were trying to accomplish, like that stuff was needed to keep him, moving in the right direction. When I'm working with the high school kids, like the right direction is just to move a lot. And you don't need recovery like that. Now, maybe in season, like during football or basketball season, like, when you're in a heavy schedule and all the contact, and okay, now's the time maybe to, use some of those things at that time. But if you're using them in the preseason with 14 or 15-year-olds, like something is wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it with the way the training's structured. It's like, okay, I know why your athlete is sore, because you had them run a stupid, speed ladder where they accumulated, 2,000 meters of volume within like a 15-minute period. Okay, yeah, they're going to be sore. That's your fault.
So in the world of noise, what's the signals, right? Like you've been there, done it, got the t-shirt, you've probably explored every single possible training variable and like the history of training. What are the signals? What's it worth spending your time on?
I, you know, with the athletes that I work with, I think, spending your time on, good training that's fun, that's enjoyable, trying to get, good sleep and trying to eat right. And, with the popular, and that goes for, all athletes. And I'm sure, you guys have seen them. There's always the outliers, right? That, live at McDonald's and all that. But, that's not everybody. And so I think those three things, like if you do those well, you're going to be really good. And I think that for the older athletes, maybe like I think sauna coupled with, contrasting that is awesome. I think getting in a pool is awesome. Taking creatine, I think, is a good thing. Vitamin D, at least where I am out here in the Northwest, it's like, constantly, kind of dreary at times. But, after that, like, I just think, good training and sleep and good food is a great place to start.
Dude, I gotta say, for a guy that's just surrounded by so much tech and the ability to overcomplicate things, you came out on the other side, and it's a pretty simplistic approach. Like some people get lost in the weeds with shit, and it just didn't happen. That's why I love your stuff, man. It's so awesome.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And, I mean, I'm there for the kids, and like, I've been there. This is year 5. I think we've had 7 or 8 kids go on to play college football. I mean, everybody's there for that experience in high school, and then, they're going to go on and do their thing. And so, keeping things in perspective of, kind of what my purpose is there. It's just really to give them like a 5-star Yelp rating, for their experience.
Now, one last thing before we let you go.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your facility, because you did you voluntarily closed it down? Did it
Yeah.
just what happened with that? Because I mean, I listen, I've had my facility now, we're going on 11 years, and
Yeah.
I know the ups and downs of business and shit.
Yeah. So let's see. So from 2003 to 2016, I moved 1, 2, 3 times. And the last time I ended up in this facility in West Lynn. No, I had the Beaverton facility. Then my first wife passed away. I had like a 12-year-old son that I was trying to raise on my own, plus running the business. Um, and I mean, it just got to the point where I had to make a choice on what I was going to do. I mean, it was just a shitty situation where I'm like, okay, I'm going to close this. And then I found another gym that I could rent space from. So then that's for the last 2 years, I trained guys at this gym. I had a key, I let myself in. They paid all the overhead. I just paid them like a monthly fee for how many athletes I was training. And I actually made money during that time. It was quite enjoyable. So yeah, I mean, it was just timing. It was just hard to get the general population in there. Mike, as you know, like the after school, it's a small 3-hour window, and trying to fill that other 5 hours, with clients that are going to pay you was just a bitch to try to procure.
Dude, I didn't know that about your wife and then having to raise your son. How old's your son now?
He will be 30 this year. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he was like in 7th or 8th grade at the time that it happened. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a challenge. And, when you talk about mental toughness and dealing with things on the sport level, and then some of this other stuff happens in your personal life that you're just not prepared for. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And that's life. And I got through it, and here I am talking to you guys on a great day. So
Dude, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, bro. We
oh
appreciate
yeah,
you.
man.
This was long
Well, it's you
overdue.
guys.
I I don't know why. Brooker, did you suggest to have him on? You did, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mark, I have no
yeah,
idea why the
yeah.
why the hell I didn't think to have you on fucking years ago. And we've been talking on Twitter or on X for back and forth for
Yeah,
how long? My dumb ass. I'm like, shit.
yeah.
This yeah.
I'm gonna unfriend you, Mike. You rat bastard. I'm gonna have to go see my counselor. I'm gonna have to go see my counselor today now that I know all this stuff. Can you Venmo me the money for
The
the
copay.
session? Yeah, yeah,
Oh, bro, dude, I had such a blast talking to you. I could talk your ear off even longer. Thank you so much, man. Is there
yeah.
anything you selling anything? Is there anything you want to push? Any product or anything like that?
Nope, nope.
Nothing.
Not selling anything, Mike.
Love it.
Just you and me and Brooker just talking here.
Awesome, bro. Well, if people want to
Yep.
find you, check out your Twitter. What's your handle?
Uh, results underscore period.
Yeah, you got to follow him. It's he posts such awesome shit. You really do. I love it, and it's so
Thank you.
simplistic. And then when people, oh, one of my favorite points, some guy was trying to rag on him so hard. It was some like Olympic lifting wiener or something like that. We were just going at him. He just kept asking him questions and just tried to be as helpful as possible. And the guy was like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it." Like towards the end of it,
Right, right.
like
A little
that's
bit of sugar goes a long way.
yeah, but like a genuinely nice dude, bro. Thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
man.
being on, bro. We appreciate you.
Thanks again, you guys. Thanks, Brooker. Good luck with your endeavor there, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you,
See you
mate.
guys
Thank you. It's nice to know that you're in the Northwest. I might pop down one day, come see you there. I'm up in Vancouver
anytime, man.
now, so we're like, yeah, I would love that.
Anytime.